Alright, hi everyone, and welcome to the video where we will understand how to install Node.js on your machine. Once you've done that, I'll show how can you start to solve assignments that we have posted on GitHub. Without any further ado, let me give you some context. First slide will take you top level. How can you install Node.js? How do you know and confirm that Node.js is indeed working correctly? Then from here to here, we're going to solve some very basic assignments in JavaScript. This is a hard JavaScript assignment. If you understand, great. If not, that is fine. Slowly we will reach there. And then here are two asynchronous JavaScript assignments. Without any further ado, we'll start here. Small prerequisite for this video is the bash video. So we already have the bash video posted on the dashboard. Go over there, understand what this terminal thingy is that you see over here. How can you run commands in this terminal? What is the ls command? What is the cd command? What is the pwd command? If you understand these commands, only then you should proceed to this video. Installing Node.js. There are various ways depending on which operating system you are on. This is my go-to guide. Whenever I have a new system, whenever I have a new machine, this is the blog post I go through for years now. It shows you 3 common ways to install Node.js. One is that you build it from source. This is basically means you go to GitHub's Node.js's GitHub page. You follow all the instructions to one by one set up their project locally. This is something you should do if you are thinking of contributing to Node.js, which means the framework itself. If you want to contribute to Node.js, then might be a good route to take. Probably very difficult, a path that I have never taken locally. Number 2 is you can use package managers like Brew and Snap. Windows also has some. I'm totally forgetting the name. I think Chocolate. These are package managers. These allow you to install various libraries. For example, if you want to install Node.js on a Mac, you can run something like this. Brew install Node.js, and that should install Node.js, or it might be brew install node. You can see this, on the brew registry page. One of these commands will install Node.js locally. This is a decent way to install it, but the best way is using something called the Node version manager. This, as the name suggests, lets you install Node.js and manage its versions, which basically means you can have a latest version of Node.js. Then you might have to, if you let's say have to downgrade, you can downgrade to a smaller version using Node version manager. The name itself says, okay, I am going to install and manage various versions of Node.js for you. So we are going to take the third route over here using the Node version manager. Node version manager is a CLI. Now CLI might be something new you might be hearing, but it basically means all these commands that you run here are a command line interface, right? You are interfacing to something, be it installing Node.js, installing NVM, using the command line. This is what is called a CLI. So first we have to install the NVM CLI. Just how I can run brew over here, I can run a CD over here, I can run mkdir over here. I want to be able to run NVM, this right here. To be able to run NVM, you have to install the NVM CLI locally. How can you do it? This is the script that you have to run. Now, what does the script do under the hood? If you want to understand, it basically gets this install.sh file, which has a bunch of, it's a very long bash script. It runs this bash script locally. Think of it this way. This specific first line of code will get that file locally. This second line will pipe all of the contents here to bash. If you don't understand it, it is fine. You don't have to understand it. You can just copy this and paste this over here. Oopsie daisy. Just copying it with JSX. How can I copy just the code? There you go. As I said, the first command right here, gets all the contents from this URL, and then it pipes it to bash, which means, it runs everything that is in this install script gets run in your terminal. The same thing would happen if I go to this in my browser, copy the whole thing and, paste it over here. Then also the same thing would happen. This is just, very ugly, very long, as you can see, copying the whole thing, pasting it in my terminal, which is why it's just easier to run this command right here. Okay, bhai, get all the contents, put it inside the terminal and, pipe all of the contents of this bash script onto bash. All right. Let's start by using NVM now. If this worked for you, which it will work on Linux or Mac, it will not work on Windows directly. On Windows, you can install one of two things. You can either install git bash, I repeat, git bash, or WSL. WSL or git bash will let you access bash commands. Curl is a bash command. NVM that we're trying to, install over here or run over here is going to be a bash command. cd, mkdir, these are what are called bash commands. What is bash? Bash is a complicated name for a shell. Bash ka full form is SH stands for shell, and BA in front of it stands for born again, which I think is the name of the author or something. So it's just bash represents any command that you run over here. Any command that you're running is a bash command. You can't run them on Windows, which is why on Windows, please install WSL. Once WSL is installed, you will see a terminal like this where you can run cd, you can run mkdir. Over there, first run this, and then NVM should exist for you. If I now type NVM, I see NVM over here. One more thing you might have to do is stop your terminal and restart it. Why you have to do? Ignore. But if it doesn't work for you, close out your terminal and restart it. Now you should hopefully see some contents over here. If you type NVM, this is the first checkpoint for you. If you have not been able to do this, then you have to debug this first. You have to make sure NVM is installed for you locally. If you are choosing the NVM route, if you are choosing any of the other routes, then that is fine. If you choose this or this, if you find another way to install it, Node.js, that is fine. If you're choosing this path, then make sure NVM exists for you locally. And once that has happened, the next step to run or the next command to run is NVM install the version of Node.js you want to install. NVM has various versions. You can run NVM list remote to list all the versions of Node that exists. Node has been, improved upon for many years now. Every few months, there is a new release of Node. These are all the, versions of Node over the years. The latest one, as you can see, is 22.6.0. So you can run NVM install v22.6.0 to install that specific version. If you want to install a Purana version, older version, you can install an older version as well. If I run NVM install v22.2.0, it will install an older version. Generally, it's a good idea to be, as latest as possible, because, the Node.js has a bunch of improvements. You will get all of those improvements locally if you're doing this. Now, if I run node space -v, it tells me I'm using, the 22.2.0 version. This is what you need to achieve. Locally, you should be able to run something like this and you should get back a response. It can be a different version, that is fine, but you have to reach here. If you're not able to reach here, then you have to debug this for a while. Every machine has its own quirks. If you're on a Linux based machine, you will mostly be fine and you should be able to reach here. If you are on a Windows based machine, then TAs can try to help you out, but again, this becomes very person specific. So you will have to debug this a lot yourself. Spend an hour, 2 hours, Google, and make sure by the end of it, you have Node running locally. If this is running, you should be able to run two commands. First command is node, like we just saw. If I type node over here, it gives me sort of a console where I can write Node.js code. For example, where a equal to Harkirat, console.log a. This basically means I have it running locally correctly. This is the first thing you should be able to run. Exit out of it. The other thing you should be able to run is npm. I repeat, the other thing you should be able to run is npm. npm has various full forms, but the one that we're going to stick to is Node Package Manager. Harkirat, what is Package Manager? What is Node Package Manager? We will be getting to very soon, but make sure you have these two commands running. The first one being npm. If it gives you contents like this, you are good to go. Second one being node. If you run node space -v, you should see something like this. That is how you install Node.js. Now you can run Node.js files locally. For example, if I create a simple index.js file here, let me go to a folder over here in projects, open it and create a new file. If you have gone through the bash class, you might know that touch a.js creates a fresh file. So you can run touch a.js and you will see a.js file that is created for me in the projects folder. Again, you will only be able to do this if you have gone through the bash class. So make sure you've gone there, then create an empty a.js file, maybe open it in Visual Studio Code. Open it in Visual Studio Code, write some code in here. Const a equal to Harkirat console.log a. Try running this JS file. How can you run it? This is the code that I have written in the JS file. The way to run it is node space a.js. If I run node space a.js, then Harkirat appears over here, which is the code that I have written. If I log it twice, I see it twice. If I log one over here, I see Harkirat 1. So whatever code I'm writing over here, I'm able to output that code. I'm able to run that code very similar to Replit. Like we were able to run it on Replit, we are now running it on our own machine thanks to us having the Node compiler locally. We have Node.js locally. I can run any JavaScript file locally. This is your checkpoint for the first slide. Try to do this, try to run it. You need to know bash. You need to know have NVM locally. That's not necessary. You can use other ways as well. But you know, the rasta that we have taken, we have NVM locally, we have Node locally, we have NPM locally, and then we have created and run a Node.js file. This is all that we have done until now. This is covered in an offline video. These I have just covered right now. And this also we just see over here. Okay, a.js is over here. I'm able to run it over here. You can run it directly in Visual Studio Code as well. You can open a terminal here and, you know, go to a specific folder. For example, you know, the projects folder over here, run node a.js, and you know, the same output comes out. Cool. Let's move on to the next slide. The next slide being how to do the assignments locally. So all of our assignments are going to be posted on this GitHub repository. Now we haven't covered Git yet. We haven't covered GitHub yet. So you might find this a little overwhelming, but for now, think of it like a Google Drive folder. I repeat, a Google Drive folder where we have put some code. If you look at it, these are just two files, right? There is a readme.md file. Think of this as readme.txt. There is a week 1 folder. There is a week 2 folder. This probably has the assignment for week 1. If you go here, you see problems/VS Code landing page where it says design this specific landing page. Easy assignment is only design the top header, which, you know, is this section right here. And the hard assignment is design the whole thing. This is the problem for week 1. And here is the solution for week 1. Similarly, we have another folder here, week 2. It has 2 parts, simple JavaScript, slightly complex asynchronous JavaScript. This one has, you know, some easy, medium and hard assignments. Similarly, week 2 async.js has some easy, medium and hard assignments. The goal is we understand how can you bring these assignments locally, code these assignments and test your code, make sure your code does indeed what it is expected to. For that, step 1 is getting this code locally. This is more technically called cloning the repository. And the way to do that is click on this green code button right here and download this zip. We will eventually get to how you can do this using these fancy methods. But for now, just download this zip and unzip this file. I hope you understand how to unzip files, and you know, you've done this irrespective of whether you're in Windows or the other one. These are a lot of photos that I did not want to share, but theek hai, le lo. You have this assignments main folder. That is now, you know, basically the same code that you saw over here. I'm going to take this assignments main folder and I'm going to move it to my projects folder. I repeat, I took this from here, moved it to my projects folder. Now I'm going to open this assignments main folder in my Visual Studio Code. You should do the same. What have I done? Number 1, I downloaded the zip. Number 2, I unzipped it. Number 3, I opened it in Visual Studio Code. How can I open it in Visual Studio Code? open VS Code, click on file, open, and select the right folder. In my case, it is projects slash assignments dash main. And as you can see, this looks like somehow I got the same code locally on my machine. मैंने यहाँ से code लिया from this Google Drive folder like thingy. I brought it locally to my machine. Now I just have to look at these assignments and solve them. Week 1 assignment I will cover in a different offline video. That is more of a, create an HTML and CSS file. Week 2 assignments is what I want to cover a little bit here. Okay, given these assignments, how can you understand what it expects you to do? How can you solve it? So that is what will happen from the next slide onwards. To recap, until this point, you should have the repository open locally in your Visual Studio Code like I do over here. And you should have Node.js installed locally. Only if you have done both of these things, should you move on to the very first set of assignments here, which is easy JavaScript assignments for week 2, which, as the name suggests, includes fairly simple algorithmic problems to just practice your JavaScript skills. The way to see these files locally is by going to week 2 JS, which is the JavaScript assignments. This is asynchronous JavaScript assignments. This is JavaScript assignments, easy. And these are the 3 assignments to solve. Let's open one of them, anagram.js. What does it say? It says write a function is anagram. It has already written the function signature for you. You have to write the body. Let me turn off my AI over here, which takes 2 parameters, string 1 and string 2, and returns true or false if they are anagrams. What is an anagram? A word, phrase, or name formed by rearranging the letters of another, such as spar can be formed from rasp. Basically, if they have equal amount of characters which are the same, for example, this has 1S, this has 1S, this has 1A, 1A, 1R, 1R, 1P, 1P. If the frequency of all the letters is the same, that means they are anagrams. So what is another good example of anagram? AAB and BAA. These are anagrams. AABBCC, CC, ABAB. These are anagrams. So if the frequency of letters is same in both the arguments, you return true, else you return false. Can you guess how to solve it? There are various ways. One way is, you sort string 1, then you sort string 2, and then you return if str1 equal to str2, then you return true, else you return false. So what you can do is, if you sort 2 words that are anagrams, for example, AABBCC and CCBABA. If you sort the first one, what does it become? It becomes AABBCC. Sorting means A comes first, then B comes, then C comes. If you sort the second one, what does it become? It also becomes AA, then BB, and then CC. If they are both the same, that means this is an anagram. So what can you do over here? You first need to sort str1. It is a string. Eventually this will be called like this, is anagram, HARK, and then KRAH, something like this. This and this will be 2 strings. What do I have to do? str1 dot sort. This is the first string I need to convert this to. I need to const sorted string 1 equal to str1 dot sort. Const sorted string 2 is str2 dot sort. If sorted string 1 equal to sorted string 2, I can return true, else I can return false. Do we understand this much code? Okay, this function hopefully does what we expect it to. It might be wrong, we don't know yet. But according to our algorithm, if 2 strings are anagrams, for example, this one and this one, if you sort them, then they will be equal. I hope the logic is clear. If you sort this, it remains this. If you sort this, it becomes this. And both of these are equal because they are anagrams, because they have equal number of A's which appear at the beginning of the string, equal number of B's which appear right after A, equal number of C's which appear right after all the B's end. So that is why they become equal. If I now try to test it, which is the most important part of this video, how can you test if it works as expected? Should I, call it myself Harkirat? Should I create a bunch of test cases myself like this and see if it works or not? You can do that, or you can run tests that we have written for you. So if you notice, along with easy, medium and hard, there is a tests folder over here. Here we have written some tests for you. Now don't worry about how they are written, but you can see there is a anagram.test.js file. If you quickly want to understand it, here we have written, if you don't understand it, it is fine. But we have written some tests कि basically यार expect करना कि is anagram of listen and silent is true. Expect करना कि is anagram of real safety and fairy tales is true. So this has equal number of letters, and these tests are just testing your functionality. If you look at it, at the top I have required the file that you will be writing. I have written const is anagram equal to require this code that you are writing. So we have written tests for it. How they work, don't worry about. Try to run the tests locally. How can you run it locally? It's written in the README. If you go to the README over here, there are a bunch of READMEs. If you go to the week 2 JS README, it tells you, okay, you are provided with some JavaScript files. You are supposed to follow these instructions and, write some code. These are the set of assignments. This is how you run the test. npx space jest space ./test/name of the test file. So in our case, firstly, I'm in the assignments main folder. I am in the root folder over here. I need to go to the week2/week2js folder. So cd week-2/week2-js. After I'm in this folder, right here, अब I have to run this command npx space jest space ./tests. I'm in this folder. What is ./tests? It is this folder /anagram.test.js. Sorry. If I run this, it will start to test my code. Now you will face some issues here. You might not have npx locally. It comes bundled with Node.js most of the times. If you don't see npx locally, then try to Google how can you install npx on your machine. There are other ways also to do this by moving a bunch of this into package.json. Google this. If you face issues, TAs are there to help you out on how can you run the tests locally. Running the tests locally and seeing all of these reds are different things. All of these reds means that your tests aren't passing. It means your code implementation is incorrect. In our case, it is clearly telling us, oh, there you go. Sorry, my screen is frozen again. It is clearly telling us str1.sort is not a function. So sort isn't a function that exists on a string. Let's quickly Google how can you sort a string. How to sort string in JS. str.sort is not a string. You can't call harkirat.sort. What you can do is convert harkirat to an array first. HARKIRAT, something like this. Convert the string to an array. Then you can sort this array, which will become, whatever A, you get the idea. It will start from A and then, go up to, I guess, T. And then you can convert this back to a string that will look something like, whatever the sorted version of Harkirat is. So sort isn't a function. There are various ways to sort a string in JavaScript. You can think of 10 different algorithms. But the one that we're going to use now is convert this string to an array of characters. Sort this array. Sorting an array is easy. Array.sort does exist as a function. So we can just sort this array. Then we can join this array back to a string. So let's understand how can you do that next. All right, let's understand how do you sort a string in JavaScript. As I said, there are various ways. The way we are using is first we're going to convert this string into an array. Then we're going to sort the array, and then we're going to convert the sorted array back into a string. Why are we going so complex? Because there's no simple string dot sort function that would just sort it, but there is a array dot sort function, and hence we're just trying to leverage and use this array.sort function rather than writing all the logic ourselves. We can totally write the logic ourselves, right? There are many sorting algorithms, for example, bubble sort, quick sort. We can write that, or we can use a given sorting algorithm for an array and just add these conversions in the middle so that, the code looks slightly cleaner and slightly top level. What do I mean by top level? I mean, we don't have to worry about the sorting logic. There is a already written algorithm that does it. We are just going to use that algorithm. This is why if you look at the solution that says there are three things to learn over here. Number one is two lowercase. We'll get to what this is. Number two is split, and number three is join. These are two important functions in JavaScript. This lets you convert from a string to an array. Split lets you split a string into an array. Join lets you join an array back into a string. They have slightly more meaning based on the argument that you're passing in. But if all you have to do is convert a string into an array like this, you can use split with an empty string as the argument. If you want to convert an array into a string, use join with an empty string as an argument. Let's quickly try this out for a few examples. Let me open the JavaScript console here and try out a few examples. You can try them out on Replit, locally, doesn't matter. Let str equal to Harkirat. What is str.split empty string? It has 8 elements, HARKIRAT. It converts the string into an array. But what is str.split A? It splits my name with A as the delimiter. Delimiter is a new term over here. What is the new term? Delimiter. Delimiter means कि where do you want to split from? कि आपको यहाँ से left वाला लेना है? That's the first argument. A के बाद वाला लेना है. You want to take everything after A until the next A is reached. That's the second argument. RKIR. And then everything after the last A. That's the third argument. That is what this split function does. A good use case of it is, for example, if you're writing let greeting equal to hello space world, and if you want to split this into two elements, hello and world, you can call greeting.split. Can you guess what I have to pass in as a delimiter? Space, right? I want hello to be the first element, world to be the second element. If I do this, I get an array with 2 elements. So that is what split does. We are using it in a very quirky way, which is to just convert the whole string into an array. If you pass an empty string, it means the delimiter is an empty string. So H will be the first element, A will be the second element, R will be the third element, so on and so forth. So what does split do? It lets you convert a string into an array. What basis does it convert the string into an array? On the basis of this delimiter. And in our case, since we just want to convert the string into an array without any delimiter, we pass in an empty string. That is what? That is split. What is the other function we want to worry about? Joining, converting an array into a string. Let str equal to HARKIRAT. Let's say we have an array that looks like this. This isn't a string. I have named it str. I should ideally name it an array. So something like this. If I do ar.join, empty string, what does it return? It returns Harkirat. Ar is still the empty array. I repeat, just because I've called ar.join doesn't mean the original array changed. For that I have to do let ar2 or let str equal to ar.join. So I have to assign the joined string to a new variable. Right now here I'm just logging it. Here I'm assigning it to a new variable. Now if I type str is Harkirat. What have I been able to do? Convert this array over to a string. Why have we done all of this? Because given an array, you can just call sort on it and it will sort the array 0, 1, 2, 3. Similarly, if the array is, something like this, ARR, again, what is the array? It's my name. If I call ar.sort, it sorts my name according to, the alphabet letters. Okay, A comes first, then H, then I, then K, so on and so forth. Sort does replace things in place. I repeat, when you call ar.sort, the original array mutates. Can you see? Okay, pehle the original array was this. I called array.sort. the original array mutated, but string and join don't do that. Let me write this down. String comma join don't mutate in variable, but sort does mutate in variable. Given this knowledge of Given this knowledge of split, join and sort, can you try to solve the problem? What do I have to do? Let me open Visual Studio Code. I have to, we already wrote this, but this is the incorrect way to sort. What is the right way to sort? I have to take the string and split it with an empty array. This will convert, if HAR was the first string, it will convert it into HAR. Okay? That is, let's say, array1 equal to this. Then I have to call array1.sort. Then I have to do const sorted string1 equal to ar1.join space. This is how I convert str1 into a sorted string. It is not as easy as what I was doing. I first have to convert it into an array. I then have to sort the array, so that will become a, h, r. And then I have to join it to convert it back into a string that looks like this, ahr. That's the first sorted string. Can I do the same logic for the second sorted string now? Const ar2 equal to str2 dot split empty string ar2 dot sort, and then sorted string 2 equal to ar2 dot join with spaces. All right. Given that I have this, now I can simply check if string 1 is equal to sorted string 2, return true, else return false. Because if both the sorted strings are equal, it means str1 and str2 is an anagram. What was the algorithm? If when you sort str1, which is this variable right here, and you sort str2, which is this variable right here, if they are the same, that means str1 and str2 are an anagram, else they are not. Let's try to run this locally now. You have written the algorithm, but you don't know if it will work or not. If you remember, we were running tests a while back. So let's rerun the tests. Now, if you scroll up, you will see some tests are passing. I've written multiple tests. Don't worry about, how they run, but one of them is still failing. You will see this throughout. The tests are intentionally a little flaky. By flaky, I mean they aren't what you would expect. For example, if you look at the one that failed right now, it gives you some idea. Here it expected true, received false for these strings, debit card and bad credit. Do you think these are anagrams? These are anagrams, but the problem is the D over here is capital, the D over here is small. The C over here is capital, the C over here is capital, but the B over here is capital, the B over here is small. So unfortunately, the test case is a little weird. You would expect this not to be there, I agree, but we have intentionally made the test cases a little weird so your tests break and you learn something new. What is the new thing you are learning? What are the 3 things that we had to learn from this specific video? It was 2 lowercase, split and join. These 2 we understand. 2 lowercase is what we need to understand next. Okay, first I need to convert, if the string looked something like this, I first need to convert it to lowercase, which is why over here I will call 2 lowercase and then I will split it. I repeat, I can also do this. Const lowercase string 1 equal to str1.2 lowercase, and then I can do lowercase string 1 dot split. The first thing I should do is convert both the string to lower cases. Const lowercase string 2 equal to str2 dot 2 lowercase, and const ar2 equal to this. We check these. Now if I run this, all the tests succeeded. What did I do? I added an extra step that converts, if the original string was this, into this. That way, for that specific use case, the debit card what was the use case? It was something like this. Let's say the first element was this and the second element was this. Now here, HAR and AHR, it's debatable whether or not they are anagrams, because this has a small a, this has a capital A. So someone might say they are anagrams, someone might say they are not anagrams. But since our tests are written in a way that they expect both of these to be anagrams, we have to fix our texts, which is exactly what we have done over here. To recap, how have we solved the problem? Lowercase string 1, first we have converted it to a lowercase string, then we have converted it into an array, then we have sorted the array, then we have the original string sorted and lowercase, original string sorted and in lowercase. The same thing over here. Then we just check both of whether or not they are equal. This does succeed, the tests pass. The only other optimization you can do here is, okay, you can actually chain all the function calls. You don't have to define 4 variables. You can actually, this dot split can be chained over here. This dot sort can be chained over here. This dot join can be chained over here. And you can simply say sorted string 1 and similarly sorted string 2 equal to the same logic but for str2. And then what do you check? If sorted string 1 equal to sorted 2, return true, else return false. Slightly cleaner to look at, right? Everything is happening in the same line. You can cut it into various variables, or this is going to return a string, call dot split on it. This is going to return an array, call dot sort on it. This is an array, call dot join on it. Do everything in the same line. Let's see if our tests succeed or not. The tests are still succeeding. So that is how you can solve an assignment. I have done one over here. There are a few assignments. For example, if you look at easy, there are 3. If you look at medium, there are 3. Hard, target them based on your knowledge. Throughout, try to not use an AI. I mean, use ChatGPT to ask questions. Don't turn like Supermaven on like I had a while back. Don't have these extensions on. They'll just write the code for you. You will learn nothing. So try to code these yourself. Hard, depending on how easy it was for you to solve this, feel free to do hard. If not, that is fine. All the solutions I have posted in the slides. So here is a solution for find largest element, which is a simpler problem, as you can guess. Find the largest element given an array of numbers. So how will you solve this? You will write all the code over here and then run /chest/ find largest element.ts, and it will tell you all the tests have succeeded. All right. Again, try to do this yourselves. I'm assuming this logic is straightforward. Given this input array, how can you find the biggest element? This is like DSA question 101. You first take the very first element, for example, 3, and put it in a variable. Then you iterate from here to here for let I equal to 1, which means the first index I less than numbers dot length I plus plus. If numbers of I is greater than largest element, if 7 is greater than 3, then you set largest element to 7. That is indeed true. Then the next iteration is 2 greater than 7. No, so you don't set it. Is 9 greater than 7? It indeed is. So this becomes 9. Is 1 greater than 7? It isn't. So it remains 9 and it returns 9 over here. That is how you solve a fairly simple problem. Find the largest element. Cool. After you're done with these, go to medium. After you're done with medium, go to hard. Hard is hard. Wow. Hard, yeah, as the name suggests, hard problems are hard. Calculator, don't even try, I would say. I thought I deleted this. I should have. This is a hard problem. Feel free to pick and choose whether or not you want to do it. To-do list is still straightforward if you want to practice classes as well. This does not use inheritance, which is something we haven't discussed until now. So you're good to go without it. Alrighty. That's for the simpler JavaScript problems. Let's go to slightly advanced async JavaScript problems. Over here also, if you did not understand promises well, feel free to skip hard. Focus on easy and medium. All right. You can find the solutions for the easy, medium, and hard problems for JavaScript here. For async JavaScript, let's go to the very first problem. The very first problem is the counter problem. Let's look at what it says. Week 2 async JS, easy 1-counter. This is the first one you have to write. And this does not have any tests. It's slightly harder to test these, which is why we haven't written the tests for it. If you can figure it out, brownie points to you. But here, all the descriptions are in an MD file. MD stands for markdown. Don't worry about what it is. And you can, just add your code over here. For example, 1.js, maybe we'll write the code for 1-counter.md. What does it say? It says we have already covered this in the second lesson, but as an easy recap, try to code a counter in JavaScript. I wouldn't say we have covered this. I don't think we covered this in cohort 3. So try to code a counter in JavaScript. It should go up as time goes by, the intervals of 1 second. Basically, you want when I run node index.js, 1 gets printed, then 2 gets printed after 1 second, then 3, then 4. You have to create sort of a TLDR, create a stopwatch. That is what you have to create. How can you create it? Have we discussed set timeout until now? We have. Okay, bhai, if you call set timeout with some time, for example, 1 second, after 1 second, the callback function will get called. So this gets called after 1 second. If I run node index.js, let me go to the right folder, cd ... to reach week 2, cd week dash 2 dash async.js, cd easy. Here, if you run node in 1.js, let's see. What does it print after 1 second? After 1 second, it prints hi there. What is the problem? It says, okay, you need to print a counter that starts from 1 and keeps on going up. So can I do something like this? CTR equal to CTR plus 1. What am I doing? Here after 1 second, 1 to gets printed. But now I want after another second, 2 also gets printed. After another second, 3 also gets printed. Every second, the callback function should get called. It isn't a set timeout. It is a set interval. I want to create an interval that runs this every 1 second. Callback will get run every 1 second. That is what set interval does. These are, both brothers, they go hand in hand. Sometimes you use set timeout if you want to run something once. If you want to run something, at an interval, you can use set interval. That will run this callback function every 1 second in this case. This is the time in milliseconds. Now, if I run node in 1.js, we have a stopwatch. One more thing you can do is console.clear over here. That way, only the current number gets printed. 1, 2, 3. You have a stopwatch right there. Cool. Was that simple? If you knew set interval, it was straightforward. If you did not know set interval, and let's say, I force you to not use set intervals. For example, if you look at the next problem, 2-counter, it says without using set interval, try to code this in JavaScript. There is a hint at the bottom. The hint is set timeout. Can you solve this problem only using set timeout? Let's see. Let me copy the code from here to here and let me replace this with set timeout. I say I will call back this function after the first second. Can I, after this executes, just put another callback here? Sort of like recursion, right? Callback gets called after 1 second. Uske baad again after 1 second callback gets called. Again after 1 second callback gets called. We have sort of created our own set interval. 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. So this is another way to solve the problem. Which one is cleaner? This one is cleaner. You should use set interval if JavaScript already provides you this. This is, chalo, if you want to try it. Cool. Those are the only ones I will solve now. Go from here, try to solve easy. Medium should also be doable. Let me actually solve one medium one as well. The medium, again, the solutions are already in the slides. So you can always just go to the slides and look at them. For example, for read from a file, this is the solution. So let me just not do it. Let me not do it. You should try it. And if you don't understand it, try to look through a little bit in the solutions. We have covered this already. So if you have gone through the classes, it should be not straightforward if you're coding for the first time, but you should be able to figure it out soon enough. All right. That is how you solve an assignment. Hoping to see you guys solve it. It is meant to be solved locally. So don't rush into creating a pull request. If you know what pull requests are, you don't have to create them. Just test them locally and you're good to go. As long as you can solve them, great. Easy and medium you should definitely target. If you are ambitious, try hard as well, and go from there. All right. I will see you guys in the next video.